Welcome tonight to Freedom Baptist Church, and welcome to those of you joining us online. This service will be a little different. This is our annual business meeting, but we'll have somewhat of a normal flow. And so if you will go ahead and stand to your feet as Brad comes to lead us in song.
Sing a couple Christmas carols tonight. The first Noel, and then Go Tell It on the Mountain.
Peace.
All right. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Let me take a few minutes, and what I want to do, this is a business meeting kind of thing, but it's also kind of a family talk. So what I want to do is I'm going to take a book that I read pretty recently, and I just want to walk through some of its points. It's a business book. It's not based on scripture or anything, and it takes a lot of companies like Motorola, Zenith, HP, Xerox, some of those older companies, and it's entitled How the Mighty Fall. And there's a picture that you'll be able to see in just a minute on the screen. That's just kind of the title of the book. But what I'm going to do is take that idea, and I want to twist it just a little bit, and we can talk about how a church might fall. As part of the leadership training you guys allowed me to go to in Texas, we're also been just having to do a lot of reading and kind of development for my own self. And one of those things was, when you're not in crisis, it's always good to talk about it because there's no emotion in the moment, right? If you wait till a pastor falls to try to decide how to care for his family, there's all kinds of emotions going around of hurt and caring for his family and loving on his kids, but no, he's got to go. You got all this kind of drama in the moment, so it's better to kind of deal with some of those things before they come. So what Jim Collins does here is he lays out 5 phases or 5 steps or 5, strata that you go through as you decline as a company, or in this case, as a church. And so what I want to do is just walk you through these 5 so that you can just in your own mind ask yourself, is freedom there? Are we in any one of these moments? And then kind of, work our way back out. So let me give them to you as he would lay them out in the book here. He says, number 1, the first step that you would go through is he calls it hubris, but it's really just pride, right? Doesn't that sound right? This is what Proverbs would say. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. And so signs of being proud, especially the leadership team, is that you just become so overconfident. And you begin to take credit for things that you didn't do but went well, and you begin to cast blame on things that didn't go well, but it's always somebody else's fault. It would be when you begin to cushion leaders to where they're kind of separated from the people, and they don't know anybody, and nobody knows them. All those kind of ideas. That's a hard one, really, to see coming. It's kind of like cancer. You can look very healthy on the outside, but cancer cells growing on the inside. But as you go from number 1 to number 2, it becomes a little more visible. Here's what he says. You go from pride or hubris. Then the next thing is you drop down into undisciplined pursuit of more. So instead of keeping costs down or increasing profit margins, you begin to just pursue all kinds of growth. It's growth for growth's sake. We got to get bigger, and we got to get stronger, and we got to get better, and we're going to shoot cannons over in this area, and we're going to be the best in this thing, and we're going to do all of it this year because we got to do it, and we just got to grow. Signs that you're here. You take on huge amounts of debt. One company got 900% debt to income. That's crazy. But churches can get there. Another one would be that as you do this, as you have to grow and grow and grow, and you're aiming at all kinds of different avenues, you lose the primary focus for which the company, or in this case, the church, began. So instead of being a church where you're trying to preach, see people find and follow Jesus, you begin to try to save and heal AIDS. You begin to try to, handle all abuse. You begin to shoot a big cannon at feeding all the poor. You begin to take over another thing. And what happens is you become so fragmented that you don't do any of those things well, nor do you keep the base strong. And everything begins, this growth that kind of got you going, kind of plateaus and then starts the decline. The last thing that happens is this: you get a lot of people in the wrong positions, and churches can be just that way. Pastors can get proud and try to promote just tons of growth. And as they promote growth, they promote debt. And as they promote the debt, they get people in the wrong places. And then you spread everybody way too thin, and the pieces begin to crumble. So that would be phase 2. Maybe you've experienced that. I hope not. And then comes number 3. As cracks begin to show, and as people begin to get concerned, they express it. And as they express it, you deny the risk and you deny the peril. That's step 3. Luke would write it, or Jesus would say it this way in Luke. For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost to whether to know he has enough to complete it? Right? You take a bite out of something so big, and somebody says, I don't think it's a great idea. And it says, no, you just don't have enough faith. We got to go for this thing. That's normally a sign that you're about to decline, or you're already in decline. And as they bring it up, you ignore criticism and you shift blame. Always blame is outside. It's COVID's fault. It's the government's fault. It's the area's fault. It's that group of people's fault. There's never any owning of the struggle, and there's never any fault that the leadership is willing to take. And so churches can do the same thing. You can ignore trends. You can ignore the fact that multiple pastors countrywide are retiring and nobody's there to replace them. You can ignore trends that the world is becoming less Christian. They're talking post-Christian now. You can ignore all that and just pretend like, hey, everything's all great inside. But when you're doing that and you deny all the risk and peril around you, you're already in decline, even if you don't recognize it. And then the fourth stage is this. You start grasping for salvation. And we don't mean you need like salvation from the Lord. You start you take risky big changes. So a pastor may fire a senior pastor who was maybe underperforming, and they're going to bring in this new hot shot from outside, and he's going to change the thing, and everybody gets real excited, and you get a little bump of excitement, and then normally it starts to blow up again. Or maybe you don't change pastors, but you change programs, and that program is going to change the world, and it's going to be the most exciting thing in the world, and they bring it in, and there's a lot of excitement, and then after about a year, it crashes back down. And you can stay in this kind of grasping for salvation and kind of looking to kind of be restored in one moment and, just over and over crash back down. I think of 1 Timothy 6, where he says, godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, with these we should be content. But for those who desire to be rich, fall into a temptation and a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils, and it is through this craving that many have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pains. So that's 4. You start with pride. You go to growth, just unsustainable growth. And then from growth, you deny the risks, you deny the peril, and then from that, you recognize you're in trouble, and so you just start like throwing, Hail Marys down the field and hoping something sticks. And then after that wears out, you get to stage 5, which is you sell out, or you just, you capitulate to death or irrelevance. You just kind of say, well, it's all over. Let's either sell the place, or let's just keep going until we have exhausted everyone and every bit of financing, and we just kind of die. Churches tend to go that way. We rarely sell out early. We just die. And so some of you know churches like that. Some of you have been a part of churches like that. And so I just think it's helpful in moments where I don't think we're in these, right? But maybe that's me denying risk and peril, right? I don't think we're there. I don't think we're grasping for unlimited growth. I don't feel like we don't have our eyes open to the real world and the problems that we're facing. I don't feel like we're grasping for some Hail Mary, end of the game shot, or trying to look to some program to save us. But if you see us going this way, speak up, okay? if you see that first step of pride, hubris, one-on-one, you got to say something. So we just want to be careful. And I just thought it was a good, helpful thing. Pride comes before a fall. And I'm going to give you lots of things tonight that are going to be very positive. We've had a good year. And so we just want to be careful, okay? I want you to always keep your eyes open. Everything that God's doing that's great, you have an enemy that hates your soul and is going to want to tear you down. And so let me give you a few updates for the year. So these are kind of year-end summaries or year-end review. And so let me begin with membership, okay? Under membership, we've had 28 new members who are adults, like voting adult members, and 49 new people, which includes children. That is pretty good. That's pretty good. And there's a new members class that we held off on purpose that'll start in January. But they're already asking to be a part of us. So that's fantastic. By the way, just a side note, we got to find a better time to do this business meeting than the very end of the year. But you've got a kids program, you got a fellowship night, you got candlelight. It's just not the easiest place to kind of put it. So anyways, it's not the greatest, the Wednesday night before New Year's, but we're thinking about it, okay? So anyways, all right, that's for membership. Number 2 is attendance. For this, I'm going to give you 2 stats. I'm going to compare this year to 2020, and then I'm going to compare it to 2019. That's easier, okay? So first of all, this year, we averaged in Sunday school the same numbers as we did in 2020. It's okay. In 2019, comparatively, Sunday school's down about 37%. So 2019 to 2021, we're down. If you were to do Sunday morning, we have gained from 2020 to 2021. But still, from 2019 to 2021, we're still down, okay? We're down about 15%. So you might say, oh, it's terrible. It is bad. It is not the greatest. However, national average is anywhere from 35% to 65%. So Sunday morning attendance down 15. That's excellent compared to national averages. Down in Sunday school 35, still on the top end of people coming back and sticking with it. So we want to see it continue to grow, but it's not the end of the world, okay? I think you should be okay with that. I think that's good news. So that's attendance. As you come into, I didn't do Awana youth group or any of that. I'm just giving you broad things tonight. If you want that information, we can find it for you. But moving on to finances, this is where some of the new things and kind of some excitement, I think, comes. So a couple of weeks ago, was it last Wednesday? No, 2 Wednesdays? Last 2 Wednesdays. 2 Wednesdays ago, Steve Sidler came from the Dominican Republic and needs 2 buses because the roads, they don't have any type of, kind of civil engineering laws about how close you can build buildings to the edge of the roads and things. So anyways, he needs 2 smaller buses, and 1 bus is $8,000, and he's already kind of gained enough from his travels to get one. And so part of our Christmas offering was going to go to Venezuela. Part of it's going to go to Steve Sidler. And as of just today, you guys bought him, the Lord, through you, bought him a bus. So I just want you to say, just well done. Thanks for being generous, church, and just for being willing to give. And I know that he's going to be excited going back to the country where he can get some transportation for people who just can't make it to church. And then also, when it comes to the Christmas offering for Venezuela, you guys are still bringing in clothes. That's great. 2,500's come in for that. And so what we're actually going to be able to do is cover all the costs for the clothes being shipped to Venezuela. We're going to be able to buy Steve Sidler a bus, and we're going to be able to bless another missionary with a surprise gift that they don't even know about. So it's just been great. Christmas was awesome, and you were fantastic. And so I just wanted you to know about that. Second thing I want you to know about, because of COVID, the government has just been giving free money. And we didn't really go looking for any of it, but our CPA, Connie, had just asked Mike, hey, they're doing this, they're giving it out, do you want any? And so we said yes. And so we've been given some, and the trustees met a couple days ago, and they have voted to put $100,000 against the mortgage. So, well, it's not done. We don't hold on to the applause there. So this year we will lower the debt from $567,000. We're sitting right now at $410,000. So it's been $150,000 come off in 1 year. That's a good year. Okay. On top of that, the cash position has increased. So we don't know exactly the full numbers. Things are still coming in. It's not the end of year yet. But I can already tell you, when you have a year where you can buy a missionary bus and you can bless your cleaners whose families are in Venezuela, and you can lower your debt $150,000, and you can raise your cash position, that's a good year, right? So I just want to say huge thanks to Mike, Rick, trustees across the board. Tammy and Ray help really from the office side manage all costs and things. And to all ministry leaders who kept within your budgets, you're awesome. So just from this end of things, praise the Lord, right? He gave it, and we've just tried to be really good stewards, and he's been blessing. So we want to keep that trend up. All right, so just again, some of the things that we were able to do this year. John and the praise team got the live stream up and running. That really got kicked off. We got the screens put in January, February, March. Operation Christmas Child was a success. We were able to help the Mandevilles with Habitat. I mean, just a number of good things got going. And we were able to shift over some of our church software to Faith Life. And I wanted to just take a minute to talk about Faith Life just for a second. And this is under opportunities, so it may actually not be on the thing, but just give me a second. We have been very slow to get everyone up to speed. And the reason is we have tried to focus on the website, the app. We're moving from one church software to this one, and so making sure all of your membership records from when you joined in 1962 and all your children's names and birth dates and anniversaries, we are being very careful to make sure all of that is correct and we don't lose anybody. So we haven't done any training. We know it's coming in the future. There will be an online directory, and Mary is going to set up a photo booth in the gym, and we're going to upload your picture for you. We'll let you know what dates that you can come by and get your picture taken. You can do it yourself, but if you don't want to do that, we'll do it for you. And so the directory will be all on your phone all the time, your announcements and events and all that. So we're still working through it, but we wanted to make sure the website, the app, the membership records, and then the financial giving all gets done really well. And then all the extra perks of, Sunday school record keeping and all these other things, they're coming later, okay? But we want to make sure that we get the base really well. And when it comes to online giving, the new software doesn't need numbers like we've used in the past where you got a box and many of you threw away a good chunk of that because you give quarterly or monthly or bi-weekly, so you're throwing away half of them. All you'll need is just a plain envelope, and you can get, so if you need 12, grab 12. You can give once a month. If you give twice a month, grab 24, 25. If you give once a year, you just need one. However you do it, just do you, and that's fine. You can grab them out of the seat back tonight if you want. There's some at the information desk, and there'll be some out by the office doors as well. So just get as many as you need. You can do it by week. You can do it by month. You can do whatever you want. So, but we'll have some envelopes for you if you still want to give that way. Okay, so that's all kind of year in review. I want to give you the one that I think is most telling and most exciting moving forward, and that's this next one. It's dealing with our discipleship process. 33% of the entire church went through some type of discipleship training on Sunday nights this past fall. Now, you might think, 33, that's terrible. I want you to imagine everybody on Sunday morning. Some are just coming on Sunday, some are visitors, some don't even know if they want to be a member here yet or not. But when 33% of an entire building, so I'm counting the nursery, we're counting all that. When 33% want to grow, You start with 33, and then once those people start making disciples, that number doesn't just add. That thing becomes exponential, okay? So to start with a third is fantastic. So this was the new believers. It was the Christian Life Group. It was those who were focusing on the parenting from a Christian worldview. All of that, 33% went through, and really cannot be more excited about some of those developments. That'll start up again in February, and we'll start those, and they'll run all the way up till Palm Sunday. And so looking forward. We'll be adding some new classes, and so you're going to want to be excited about that. And speaking of classes, one thing that got noticed that we really picked up on this year, I read you the stat, Sunday school was down more than Sunday morning attendance. Sunday school, discipleship groups, small group Bible study, you can name it whatever you want. But the meeting where small groups of Christians gather, they build relationships, and they study the Bible, that is going to increase as we move into the upcoming years. You're going to see a highlighting of Sunday school. If you came to the Sunday night kind of Christmas fellowship dinner a couple of weeks ago, if you would have looked across the room, 95% of all people who attended were in Sunday school classes. 95. About 5% don't go. But most, huge amount, I could tell you who they were, I can tell you whose class they're in, and just kind of lay it out. So the heartbeat, the real kind of relationship build, the real relationship connections, the heart of freedom isn't really seen on Sunday morning. It's seen in that 9:15 hour or small group hour, whenever we kind of set that. That is where the heart really is. And we're not saying you got to come every week, but you know what I'm saying? That group is where most of everything comes from. So we want to really strengthen. If you remember that funnel I mentioned when we were doing the vision strategy service, that relationship building, that was right in the middle of that funnel, because that's kind of the core. So we're going to be highlighting that. There's going to be some new classes coming, and you'll hear them announced within the next week or two, coming at the beginning of the year. One personnel thing I wanted to bring up was the music position. And so when Curtis retired, Paul Brenner steps in and is still temporarily helping us out. So he is not, he's the administrator of a Christian school. So he's already got a full-time job and is really just helping and blessing in a mighty way. And if you enjoyed the candlelight service, and many of you came and said, that was the best candlelight service we've ever been, that was all Paul. So he did that whole thing. All I did was tweak a couple of verses and maybe the order of a song. Everything else was all him. So the training with the praise team, the flow of even having the idea that we're going to start with, coming before the king and the fall of the kingdom and then the king coming again, that was all him. So when he gets back in town from visiting his mom in Colorado, just give huge praise to him. He's doing this just as a blessing. So as part of that, I wanted to spend a moment just on the music personnel question. So I'll tell you a story first. When I was in the 5th grade, the music band teacher from the middle school came in and they taught us music. And they taught us about wind. I'm not even going to get it right, but the wind instruments and the strings and the brass and the percussion. And they let us listen to different instruments. And then they let us kind of take a picture test. And so you had to they play something and you had to write down what you heard. And then you had to kind of look at something and kind of list out some facts about each one. And the band teacher wisely only invited the best of those who could, hear the music and kind of keep the rhythm and all that. All my friends got accepted and asked to be in the band, not this guy. Okay? It wasn't even a high bar. We're talking middle school band. I'm that bad at it. So you put me in the underground church where you go in very quietly and you study the Bible and you pray together and you go home and sneakily, I'm down, I'm good. Right? Like music to me is not a big deal. But to some of you it is. And so I just want to say we are talking to somebody, but whoever that is, because it's so personal and so emotional and so stylistic. I don't think, even if Jesus led our music, 20% of you would not like it, right? 20% of somebody in here would not like it. So we just got to kind of say, we're here because we love Jesus and we love his word and we want to follow him. And these things are benefits that many places in the world don't even have the option to sing together. So, I want to know this guy's heart. I want to know he's saved. I want to know that he loves the Lord. I don't want to mention too much because we're kind of in that dating thing with staff. You know what I'm talking about? You don't really know each other. So, but I want to know that his heart is he wants to see people blessed by music, not be a performer. I want to know that he has the relationship skills, the technical skills, the kind of working with people skills, leadership skills, character qualities. Those things to me are vastly more important than vocal ability or musical ability. And even though this person has graduated from Liberty with a music degree and plays 2 instruments and sings and has led choirs and dramas and all that stuff, that's all secondary to does he love Jesus and does he want to make disciples. So we are talking to somebody, but until that position gets given to somebody who's going to be more long-term, they deserve the right to set whatever they want to do with solos and specials and choirs. So just pray. There's nothing like a music thing to blow a church up. So just pray that the Lord leads us and just continue to be patient with me. So, but we are focused on it, okay? I just want you to know. Okay, moving forward, a couple of things. We're going to go ahead and go to your budget form that you have in your hands. Mike's going to be able to come up in just a minute, and we'll dismiss family members and things like that, and you guys can ask questions. But I'm going to hit a couple of big highlights that you should just know about. We've merged a couple of line items. If you were to get out an old one, we had like building grounds and repairs and maintenance and other things. And when Ray did all this, he dug into the weeds, and it really should have just been one thing. And so we just made it one thing. There was it doesn't matter. It's not worth the time. It's just one thing now. It's all building related. They were both building related in the past. So now there's just building grounds and repair. We're going to continue to work on building improvements. So you see the screens up here. There's the new sign out front. We have brick that'll be coming to be the back wall of the baptistry. There's some stuff coming in the front. We know that a playground is in the future, and we get kind of one shot at these things, so we want to do it really well, and that's going to be a spring fundraiser. We didn't budget for it, but we want that to be great. We want it to be good for families, children, grandparents, everybody. Just a good outdoor time where you can enjoy the spring and the fall. And today, the winter, right? You could have enjoyed December 29th extremely well on a very nice playground. So that's one thing. I think the kitchen needs a good upgrade next, but I'm getting amens on that one. So that's in our sights, but we'll see. So anyways, just know that's on the horizon. We've returned a number of ministry to pre-COVID levels. We cut pretty deep last year in an effort knowing that you can't do a lot. So we've upped fellowships. We've upped Awana, Thrive, and VBS back to pre-COVID levels. And so they're just back to where they used to be. And the new line items that you should know about there's 3 of them. One is just church software. That's where we're bringing in kind of a number of different things that we were spending money, but they were coming from all over the place. We're just putting them all together into one spot. And then number 2 is leadership development. One of the things that I think will be one of the greatest blessings to Freedom is investing in people. And so thank you for letting me go and do some leadership training. David Sheldon's not here today, but we met in the office, and he said, when you went to that thing, I didn't really believe anything was going to change. He said, but really, that was amazing. So it's been great. We're going to send Ray out next, and he is going to work on some executive pastor issues. And so he's going to an executive pastor conference where they're going to talk about job descriptions and how to fundraise and all kinds of policy-making things that you and I would just want to throw up. But it's necessary, and it's going to be great. And I'm looking forward to all the blessings that the Lord's going to bring back. So Ray's going to do that in February, but that money's there for if we want to send somebody to a class, if we want to invest in some type of, I don't know, just it's there to invest in people. And then the third one that you're going to find is a discipleship ministry that's at the bottom of other ministries, I think, on the back. And that is there to provide for the Sunday night booklets that we're using through New Believer and Christian Life and evangelism and leadership training. It's also there because we're ready. We've been ready, but we think the world's now ready to get back to a couples retreat, men's retreat, women's retreat, activities like that. And even a men's ministry or women's ministry, you can go out and do some stuff. So you needed some money there, again, to invest in people. Nobody, no company who makes anything wants to have people come in and say, hey, look at our factory. Isn't it the most beautiful factory in the world? Nobody cares about the factory. If you got a beautiful factory, it probably means you're not doing anything. What you care about is look at this product. They want you to see the product. They want it to be helpful to you and bless you with it. In a church, if the first thing you think is, oh, they have such nice facilities, that's as if you said their factories are really clean and nice. Who cares about the factory? We want to send disciples around the world. We want to see people come to Christ and go out into their world and then see that world impacted for Jesus. So people are where the vast majority of all funds need to be going. Buildings are just a kind of necessary evil. So those are just a few of the highlights and updates that I wanted to give you tonight. And so in just a minute, I see Mike. Who has the ballot results? All right, Joel, bring them on up here. For everybody joining online, we're going to kind of go offline now. So I hope you have a blessed evening and hope to see you back on Sunday.